Hey y'all, hey, it's Lobo here. We're gonna do something a little different today, off the cuff. Actually, most of my videos are off the cuff, so that's irrelevant. But still a little different. We're gonna talk about something other than games. A friend of mine and I were discussing going to see Maverick in May when it releases. Now, Maverick is the sequel to Top Gun from 1988, which is some 34 years later. And I said, dude, I do actually want to go see it, but Jesus, man, the tickets doesn't even cover the concessions, just the tickets. I said, what they're asking for the tickets now is stupid. I said, if we go to an evening show, which we tend to do, I said, you're looking for, I said, and your wife comes with us, which she tends to do. I said, you're looking at $70 just to get us in the, I said, you're looking at, we're looking at $70 just to get in the door. Because more often than not, he pays for everybody to get in the door. We all pay for our own food, but, he pays for him and his girlfriend's food, and now wife, and I pay for my food. But he generally pays for the tickets. It's just the way, just because he's that cool. I said, it's $70 just to get us in the damn door. I said, and even if we go to a daytime showing, I said, you're looking at $50. Roughly. 13 times 3. 9. Either one. Yeah, $50. And he said, we might as well go. He said, look, theaters are dying. He said, and the sickness is growing. He said, and I don't know how much longer they've got. He said, we may very well us going together to this may be the very last time we get together to hang out in the theater. They're in that much trouble. And he's not wrong. Especially when in regards to the megaplexes that are anywhere between, say 14 to 30 screens. Take AMC, which is where we're talking about going, unless something changes with my younger sister. And if you know anything about my younger sister, you'll understand why that is. And if things change and she gets better, we'll go to a different theater chain that we both happen to like. But AMC runs a bunch of, they run some smaller theaters in other places, but in the big cities, it's all megaplexes. And the biggest one in this city is 30 fucking screens. When they originally built it in the heyday of the megaplex, it still has, the center part of the building, which is the main concessions, the ticket booths. And the ticket booths are outside. You buy your tickets outside, not inside. And then you get your ticket takers at the door. They tell you which theater to go to, the ushers. And then you go get your food if you're in one of the central screens right there by the front door, which is 8 screens. And then there's 2 attached buildings, basically 2 wings on either side with their own separate concessions. Again, from back in the day when movies actually, they were actually putting out a lot of movies that people wanted to see. And the megaplexes were in their heyday for business. Those wings, their concession stands haven't been open in a decade or more. And, well, yeah, at least a decade. They cover them up with the, as best they can, with the really big cardboard cutout marquees for films. But back to the discussion. They're dying on the vine. They're dying. They are too big now with the current climate because more people are staying home. More people were staying home even before fucking COVID stupidity. Where it was, oh my God, we're all going to die. And then they basically shut everything down. And then reopen them later with big restrictions, including having to wear masks. Yes, as if eating somehow granted you immunity from catching the disease. Like I said, stupid. But basically COVID accelerated it. They were already starting to have trouble in the big chains like AMC. And I think he was right as far as the big chains go. COVID was just the final nail in the damn coffin. Now there are other chains, smaller chains. Dinner theaters where you either, where in some of them you either go in, eat your dinner, and then go into the theater and watch the movie. You have dinner and a drink, a couple of drinks, and go and watch the movie. Or my favorite chain, which is Alamo Drafthouse, where you go to the ticket booth, get your ticket, go in, and are seated. And then waiters and waitresses, servers come to your bar, your big stretch of bar table, because that's what it is. It's a big bar in front of the seats, in front of each row. And there's breaks in those bars so patrons can get out to go to the bathroom without having to walk across the entire fucking aisle to get out. And then they come and take your order and check your ID, because at Alamo they have champagne, they have wine, they have beer, and some mixed drinks and milkshakes, along with the regular, the ubiquitous soda. And you can get your beer either in draft or a bottle, depending on the brand. In the food, there's actual real food. It's cooked while you wait. Unlike the foods you get at the big megaplexes, which is cooked, frozen, shipped, and reheated for you to eat. Motherfucker, if I want to eat a TV dinner, I'll go pick it up at the goddamn grocery store. And then there's the popcorns and soda stuff, as far as costs go. For many years now, it's, for a decade, probably a decade or more, it's been $20 for a bucket of popcorn and a drink for one fucking person at the big chains. Whereas at Alamo, You can buy a bottomless popcorn. They put it in a fucking stainless steel bowl and bring it to you. So if you take 3 people, you can refill as many times as you want between when you order and half an hour before the movie ends, which is last call. Where they take the last orders and then bring you your checks to pay. And then take your credit card so they can run the credit cards, or cash so they can bring your change so you can get out of the theater after the end of the movie without having to wait too long. I think Alamo and the theaters like it will survive, but even Alamo is in trouble. They operate 41 theaters in 10 states. And they're having to close a couple. And they've shut down plans to build any others. They at one point had plans they announced plans in 2016 to build it within 2 years. By 2018, they were going to have a theater built 7 minutes from my front fucking door. It never came to fruition. Which is a shame, because I love the Alamo. And if I want to go to the Alamo, I have to drive 35 to 40 minutes to the nearest one. But it's worth it. Again, and reasonable ticket, because the prices ticket-wise are still reasonable. It's, $8 for daytime showing basically, and $12 for a night. Anything after 5. So my thought is this: they're dying. I don't know how much longer they've got. I don't think they're going to die quite as fast as my friend Mike thinks. Of course, from his point of view, it's more the fact that we don't go that often anyway. And it's generally me, him, and his wife. We go hang out. So I think he's thinking about it from that perspective too. So it's probably going to be a few years, but I will say this. The big change could survive if they make radical changes. One of the things that makes Alamo unique is they still operate in the smaller screening size in the number of seats in the theater, per theater. They also run specials. They run old movies, and anniversary screenings for old movies. Or they'll ask for, hey, is there anything you guys want to see for us to run? And if enough interest is generated in a specific film, they'll do a showing of it. But like I said, they also do anniversary showings where they will bring in some of an actor or some of the actors from that film for a meet and greet session after the film. And a little bit of meet and greet beforehand. So they're unique in that. The big chains don't do that. Whereas Alamo does it on a regular basis. So what do the big chains have to do to survive what's coming? If they want to have any hope of surviving. They need to downsize drastically. The megaplex has to die. You can no longer have big theaters with 15 to 30 fucking screens if you want to succeed financially. As it stands right now, like I said, even Alamo's in trouble, and they don't run more than 8 to 10 screens, I think. At least is the one I go to. And the location they had before the one they have now was like six or seven screens. Um, so for the big chains to survive, their megaplexes have to die. They have to get out from under their leases and find new locations and put less screens with less seats. It has to go back to the way it was before the rise of the megaplex. And they will not be able to run as many locations as they are now. Like I said, AMC right now has 600 screens across the U.S. They used to have more, so they've been closing theaters anyway. That is their only hope in hell of surviving. That, and let's be honest here, Hollywood has to start producing movies that people actually want to fucking go watch. A lot of the movies now are stuff that don't interest me anyway, but, and that's been true for a lot, that's been true, always been true. A lot of movies that get produced I don't want to go see anyway. Not my cup of tea. Horror flicks for one. I've got no use for horror flicks. Chick flicks. I don't dig chick flicks. Rom-coms to an extent. Anything made in like the 90s. This is a chick flick. I tend to, or a rom-com. I tend to enjoy, depending on who's in it and what the story is. But too much of what comes out now is preachy. They're preaching ideas that people, conditions, political screeds. If you're this political screed, you're good. If you're that political screed, you're bad. I mean, they've always done that to a certain extent, but it's really bad now. And they're teaching it to the kids in the kids' movies. That has to change. But Hollywood's not going to change. Which is another reason that the theaters aren't going to survive as is. I mean, a lot of the original stuff that the streaming services are doing now are better. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of shit in there too. But, like on Netflix, Red Notice was fucking hysterical. It was a great film. Comedy and action. I tend to like most anything Ryan Reynolds is in. He's just hilarious. Hey, Vancetti, what's up? What else? And yeah, I mean, he's done a couple of films for Netflix in recent years, and they've all been good. Just fun romps. So the movies they've been making have been pretty good there. The original series are really hit and miss, though. But that's true of even broadcast TV. Amazon's doing some good stuff. Some really good animated stuff, too. So people aren't wanting to go to the theaters anymore. I mean, why pay the prices they want at theaters now when you can sit at home and, like I said, watch it on your big screen out in the front room and eat a meal you cooked, or, a bag of popcorn you made, or nachos you made that are fresh. So I am going to go see Maverick in May. Beyond that, I've looked and there's really nothing I desperately want to go see that I know of until I think it's April 2023. John Wick 4, which they moved to 2023. It was originally supposed to come out this year, but they moved it because they didn't want it competing with something else. And Wick 4 may end up being the last fucking thing I ever see in a theater. I mean, shit. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble for 20 damn minutes. We'll catch you later. I will probably be on streaming tonight. You know the place, Lombo Gaming 52. On Twitch. It'll probably be Lost Ark. Just because I'm jamming on that game so hard right now.